What is up, Wise Take Nation? Welcome everybody to the Wise Take MMA DFS podcast. I am your host, El Stevo. As always, you can find me on Twitter at L_Steve_O, and I'm joined by the man himself, Mr. Wigsplitter. Find him on Twitter at JeffPO. How's it going tonight, Wig?
Good, man. I'm a little loopy today, so
I'm the same way, man. It's been a long day.
Might be some funny stuff coming out.
Yes. The funny thing is, you guys don't always see it, but man, we have a lot of fun behind the scenes, just making this show for you guys. So we're having a blast, and we're just all over the place today. So we're gonna knock out this week's event. It's gonna be UFC on Fox 29, Poirier versus Gaethje. We're gonna take some of our favorite picks and talk about some of these fights a little bit. But first, I kind of wanted to delve into UFC 223. I wanted to follow up with that one, give a little bit of afterthought about it. Look, it was a great event. There were some really good fights. I really enjoyed watching that card. What about you? Any standout fights for you in particular that you actually want to talk about?
I think me and you both agree that Zabit Kyle Bochniak fight was wow.
Yes.
Kyle Bochniak. I respect him as a fighter, and I know that a lot of people sort of think that he's boring, but man, he literally in one fight turned into the next Diego Sanchez. Putting his hands down and just screaming, bah, and then just letting Zabit just unload on him. I was like, what is going on, dude? I tweeted at the dude. I was like, dude, great fight, man. And then he was like, you replied back, he's like, thanks. And I was like, what?
Yeah, man. No, dude, made me a fan.
Insanity.
I like seeing fights like that. And you know what? It was really well done. And it was, dude, the guy could have played spoiler with a little bit more, could have played spoiler to the big old, Zabit was the favorite in there. But man, Bochniak made an impression, That
right.
was a lot of fun to watch, and man, he turned heads even though he didn't come out with the W. Wow, very impressive. That's how you stand out. You know what I mean? Dude's a warrior for sure. I really had a lot of fun watching the entirety of the event. But the main events, both of them, they didn't disappoint either. I gotta say, also Rose, Thug Rose versus Joanna, pulled out a hell of a win. I mean, it was a pretty close fight. I was giving it to Rose 3 rounds to 2, and just her hands are something else, man. She's got some high level technique that she was using during that fight to keep Joanna away. I mean, Joanna was really insanely game, and I was happy to see that it wasn't just a one trick pony fight. It wasn't just a lucky shot. This girl actually This girl actually can fight, and now she's definitely put a target on her back.
That's what Joanna was saying. Like, oh yeah, she could win a one round fight, but let's see what she can do in the championship rounds. Well, she just showed you.
Yeah.
I mean, she had the fight IQ and the whereabouts to know that, you know what, with 1 minute and 35 seconds left, I'm gonna shoot for this takedown. I'm gonna nail it.
That was brilliant
and cement the victory. Like the whole time, I'm sitting there going, okay. All right, Thug Rose got it going.
And it's exactly what we've been talking about, dude. Fight IQ is so important, and she knew. It was almost like she had that held on the whole fight, waiting for that one moment to set up that one shot. Because I don't remember seeing her go for any other real takedowns like that. And that one, not only did she went for it, she nailed it, and that was it. Any judge watching that fight had to give her the round because there was not a single takedown. It was great. That was, again, well played. Congrats to her. The strawweight division has a new queen, and it shows why. I don't know what happened, but I'm happy for it. That was a lot of fun to watch. And lastly, same thing with Iaquinta versus Khabib. Surprising fight. Listen, Iaquinta has heart. That guy is a tough dude. But what I liked more of is exactly what Joe Rogan was saying. Was he kind of helped everybody else out, like literally Tony, Connor, anybody who's going to go fight him going forward, they already know how to beat him. It's just, easier said than done. Not discounting the new champ at all. because you still got to stop the guy. But holy
Yeah, I
crap.
don't totally agree with Joe Rogan's commentary on that because the biggest knock on Khabib coming in was he doesn't have any stand up. He's a ground guy. He's gonna maul you. He literally stood in there from the end of the second round all the way through the end of the fight with a dangerous boxer who has insane power in his right hand. Now, if you take it into context, he out jabbed a striker.
That jab of his really was working for him. I'm
Okay,
surprised he didn't do more with it.
but if he's not a striker and he
Yeah.
outstruck a definite striker, tell me he
Yeah.
doesn't have striking. That's what I'm saying. Is I mean, I like Rogan. Don't get me wrong. Like that dude
Yeah.
is he's usually spot on when it comes to his analysis. But when
Hmm.
he started calling Khabib amateurish, like
No, I would.
I was
That I
like,
didn't agree with.
he said he was like, well, Khabib's got amateur striking, and I'm like going, what? Like he was. I mean, he like half-assed the last 3 rounds. He didn't have to, he could have just mauled him. He could have just
Yeah.
grinded him back down to the cage and just uppercutted him until the ref stopped it. But he stood there. He had his hands down at his waist half the time and just jabbed Al Iaquinta's face into hamburger meat.
No, and I agree with you. I will say that his hands are a lot. They were really underrated by Joe Rogan's commentary. But however, still, I do like the fact that he did notice. Yeah, because no, when Iaquinta got that close, it really stopped. It made it a lot more difficult for Khabib to take that shot. And overall, I mean, I love that low single. Don't get me wrong. That low single leg that Khabib was using to bring him down was amazing, and he'd hit it like it was nothing. But that's a very high level move to consistently, especially even when the opponent knows it's coming. But
Yeah,
I noticed that Khabib does like to make a little space for it, and that's actually a pretty big sign in my opinion. But overall, hey, congrats to the champ, Khabib Nurmagomedov is awesome nonetheless. Like I said, it was more telling of Al Iaquinta though, because other people in the top five haven't hung like that with him. So interesting stuff. Great card overall. I think it would have been a better card if it wasn't marred by the whole freaking McGregor situation.
yeah.
Honestly, listen, man. My take on it. Look, that's cool for pro wrestling. Look, WrestleMania was just this last weekend, and I had a blast. I had a blast covering it for a podcast, and all that. But that's where that kind of behavior belongs. Like these are guys that are warriors, that are guys that deserve respect. That are trying to be more than looked at as more than barbarians that just like to beat each other up, man. No, it's a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art. It's a martial art. It's something that should be respected, but it's hard to get the public eye to respect it when you've got guys throwing trash cans and stuff. Like I said, for that man, for all the trash he talks, he could go to WWE and do that, and then they'll pay him to do it. But
Yeah.
don't ruin the sport, man. Don't ruin that because look, honestly, MMA is something I'm really passionate about, and I want to see it hopefully before I die as like an Olympic sport. That'd be amazing. It's come a long way, and stuff like that just derails it.
That's funny that you say that because the let me see if I can find it, but the IJ the WMMAA and the IMMAF
Mhm.
they united in order to bid for recognition by the Olympic movement.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah, yeah. So
incredible news.
it's the governing bodies, I believe, for MMA in general.
That is great. That's awesome. I didn't
That'd be
know that. I'm
insane.
kind of glad you revealed that. That's
That
a
would be
good step
insane.
in the right direction. But
That'd be
yeah,
insane to see these guys in the Olympics. I mean, Yoel Romero's already been there, but
yeah,
like, wow, dude, you know what I mean?
yeah,
That
and
would be crazy.
it's nothing. I mean, there's nothing to scoff at. Like I said, these guys are athletes just the same, and that's why it's one of those things that it drives me nuts. Hey, look, he could have just told Dana, look, the UFC will do whatever Conor wants. He literally could have just walked into the ring after the fight. If he wanted to ruin Khabib's moment or something like that, or he wanted to output a formal challenge or go and talk at the presser or just, whatever it is, it still would have been better than hurting other people. There is no reason for all that, you know? And it's like, I
Yeah, you
get
know
it.
what the worst part was is from what I understand was if he didn't do any of that nonsense, that he was supposed to get offered a fight, like a really large fight, and a new like exit, like a new type of contract, um, at the event. But since he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, it didn't work out that way.
Wow. Oh, man. I don't even want to I don't even want to gratify that whole situation by talking about it longer, but it just needs to be said, man. Look, there I believe in a more honorable type of sport, and that to me isn't cool, you know. And it's like, oh, it's nice that he can go and text Dana, you know, Dana, oh, I'm sorry, oops, my bad, you know, pay his $5,000 bail, and that's it. But it's like, dude, you're killing the sport. You're not helping it in any. You brought headlines to it for all the wrong reasons. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And but that's just my take. Maybe people will enjoy that. Listen, I was a bigger Connor fan before that. You know, I enjoy the theatrics, but only to an extent. Now you're hurting people. Now you're tainting the sport a little bit. I get it. He makes money, but all these guys are legitimately trying to make money as well, and they're trying to go and, you know, and make a life for themselves or be a big star or go and chase that belt. That's the dream. And you know, now they're sidelined. Regardless of the level of skill, regardless of anything, they deserve better than that. And it's ridiculous that he would do that. So that's my take. You know, agree to disagree. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you know, are going to hate a little bit on that, but that's just my take on it. And I think you agree for the most part.
Yeah, like I mean, but it like the other thing, like I mean, I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I mean, on a side note, and I agree with CK on that. Like, if somebody tried punking me, like in a hallway or something, or one of my buddies, I would hope somebody would fly in from out of state, and be like, "All right, let's go find this dude." You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no, and look, I
I mean,
get that. That's
on
your
a
boy.
side note, like you know that you know to protect your boys, like you know, on a side note, yeah, like that's pretty legit. But like the way it was like carried out, I mean,
Yeah.
it should. I mean, it was more an act of it was a reactive thing as opposed to you know actual thought process going into it and
Yeah.
you
I
know
don't
and
know,
if it
man.
was
It's just silly because it was fight week, like, and cool. I get it. You look, Artem. Okay, call Big Brother Connor. Oh no, I got punked. It's like, dude, why'd you put yourself? You're a grown ass man. Why'd you put yourself in that situation to begin with? You know what I
right
mean? Like, you see this guy rolling deep with a whole bunch of big ass Russians, and you're gonna go and talk smack or whatever it is. If they came up to him and they tried to bully him,
now
I understand it more. But
so you understand what it stemmed from.
um,
It stemmed from an interview with a Russian uh it was the interview was done in Russian
okay,
and um in the interview Lobov said Khabib's a pussy.
yeah,
He's dropped out of fights due to injuries. So he brought it on himself. Like for one, if somebody tried testing me, like, okay, all right, you sure you want to do that? So I mean, these guys are lunatics, and then to sit there and you know do it on TV, where you don't think somebody's gonna say, hey, bro, this was like on our national like syndicated interview, like. You don't think somebody's going to get back to him and be like, see what Lobov said about you?
yeah.
You
But
know?
it's like, it's just one
Mm.
of those things. I don't know, man. He's talking a lot. It's like, well, if Artem could back up his words, maybe I'd believe more credibility to him. But it's like, I mean, dude, you're at the back of the line. You're probably, I mean, honestly, he's more still in the UFC. I think, I believe, just because of the fact that he's Connor's boy than it has anything to do with his fights, because they're not really that exciting, and he's not really beating anybody. You know, maybe but by the grace of God from time to time. But that's just, again, why are you talking smack? It's like, if you can't beat him, well, you can talk smack about him. I don't know. But again, I know my opinion on that one is probably a little bit more unpopular. I just don't think it was he brought it on himself, but at the same time, then you're gonna go keep talking smack. The guy's rolling deep. I don't know. At that point, he made he kicked a hornet's nest, and
Right.
and then on top of that, then you're gonna call after you made your bed, and then you got punked, and then you want to call your big brother. Oh no, look, come on, dude. That who's the real, who's the real
Yep, P.
yeah, who's the real P word now? You know what I mean? You had to go, challenge him to a fight. I mean, if that's the case, challenge him to a fight, make money off the fight. If that's the
Yeah.
case, if you think he's that easy money, then dude, challenge him to a fight. That's it. Simple. Again, don't. But anyways, I'm segueing hard, but that's my take. But I see where it might have stemmed from, but it's that just makes Artem Lobov look a lot worse. But
Right.
hey, it's cool that he's got somebody that's willing to have his back like that. I mean, Jesus, didn't he fly like 20 guys from Ireland? I mean,
Yeah.
geez, don't
I
get me
mean,
wrong. Hey, good on Connor to a degree, but not the way he did it. Anyways, moving right along, we're talking about UFC on Fox 29, Poirier versus Gaethje, something like that. We're gonna cover a couple of fights. I'm gonna get right into the first one. The first one that we're going to cover tonight is Luke Sanders versus Patrick Williams. Betting odds on this one: Luke Sanders is the minus 400 currently at this time. He's currently a minus 420 favorite. Patrick Williams is a plus 335 underdog. As you can see on the screen there, I mean I think Luke Sanders just recently suffered a loss not too long ago. What's up with? I mean, I'll take your take because I've been chatting up a storm this time. So what's your take on this fight? What do you think about this bantamweight belt?
Yeah, this is one of those interesting fights. Like, I mean, Luke Sanders is one of those guys where he's starting to earn that hat of low fight IQ. I mean, in his last fight against Sukhmatov, he was clearly in the lead, and then just sort of took a dump on it and lost. Patrick Williams, I think he's a former collegiate wrestler. I think it was Arizona State. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was something like that. So he has strong grappling. And Luke Sanders, one of the holes in his game is takedown defense. So it could be one of those things where, Sanders' salary on DraftKings is one of the highest at 9,300, and Patrick Williams is 6,900 salary, so he's fairly close to the bottom. Um, Personally, Sanders, yes, he could knock him out, and Patrick Williams does have suspect defense when it comes to like his striking, like the way he exits. Like when he comes in, he's very aggressive when he goes in. Like he'll lunge in, and it's usually like looping power shots. So he's going to try to knock you out as well. And then if he gets in close enough, then he's going to shoot for a takedown. Saunders, on the other hand, he's a decent counterpuncher, so I think that's why he has a little bit of an edge when it comes to Vegas odds initially. It's possible Patrick Williams could wrestle hump Saunders for 3 rounds and ground and pound him, but I don't know. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where I can't trust Luke Sanders. Like, he's one of those guys where he has a lot of physical, athletic ability, and he just doesn't have the fight IQ to be able to back it up, which is unfortunate.
I'm glad you said that. Yes, because Sanders is really talented, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's hard to trust him because of exactly what you said, and I couldn't have said it better. It's just that. It's just literally he's got a world of potential, but either where he's training at or whatever he's doing, or who knows, maybe in the middle of it. Yeah, if his fight IQ is low, and I think we've been talking about that last couple of weeks, where it can make or break a fight. I mean,
Yeah.
would you? I guess I don't know if what do you think about this one? I mean, do you think Sanders still pulls it off, or do you think it's more leaning towards a Williams kind of an upset?
Man, I don't know. Honestly, it's one of those coin toss fights where you just sort of have to go, well, it's either going to be one of two things. If Williams is able to take Saunders down and wrestle him and use his advantage, which would be to take him down and ground and pound him, then he's gonna definitely be in a possible to steal the decision. Um, Now, when it comes to Saunders winning, I mean, he's going to have to keep the distance. He's going to have to defend the takedown, and he's going to have to catch. He's going to have to catch Williams coming in and smash him with a solid power shot and possibly finish him.
Cool. Wow, I never expected Luke Sanders to be that high, like that high on price. Though I will say that surprised me from the last time we saw him. That's a big jump. Is he the highest on the card?
No. Highest salary is Gilbert Burns at 9,400.
Okay.
He's second highest, to say the least.
Yeah, no, it's still enormous. It's an enormous jump, but I definitely wanted to like. It was surprising when I looked at that, and wow. All right, well, that's that one. Moving right along.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
What happened?
I was like, what the?
Yeah, yeah. That'll be an interesting one to watch. I'm actually curious on it. It's a freebie. I'm gonna go actually to now Arjan Singh Bhullar versus Adam Wizarek. I don't know too much about this one. This is a heavyweight tilt. Excuse me. Adam Wizarek is your plus 305 underdog. Arjun Bhullar is your minus 365 favorite. Bhullar is 9,200 on this card, and Wizarek is 7,000. You want to walk us through this one?
Yeah. So Arjan Bhullar is a very decorated wrestler. He actually wrestled for Canada at the Commonwealth Games and got a gold medal in 2012. He's still fairly green when it comes to his like his progression, basically as a fighter. But he, I think I think what he's going to do. I mean, he has very good side control when he goes for takedowns. Instead of like transitioning to a full mount or like maybe back control, he actually sticks more towards the. He'll stay in side control and use a lot of his ground and pound from side control as opposed to getting into a full mount and controlling from there. I think I don't know if he's just more comfortable that way or what it is, but basically that's what he likes to do.
I saw you reach out and just like, yeah.
I'm like, oh.
That. So I guess for this one, are you leaning more towards Bhullar or is Wizarek, really stand a chance? Because I mean, it looks like from what you're saying, Bhullar is something else, man.
No, I'm not saying that he's like extremely good, but I mean, you got to think when you're a gold medalist, right, in the Olympics, that's like another level of athlete.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's not necessarily one of those things where, a lot of people don't make it to that top level. I mean, Ronda Rousey made it to,
Bronze.
I think she was to bronze, right?
Yeah, she made it bronze.
Daniel Cormier made it as an alternate, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's not like, a lot of people make it to that extreme level of the top of the game, and for him to have made it, and then compete at such a high level, I mean, that's pretty cool, man.
No, it's kidding me? Being at the top of the mountain and then transitioning to another sport, all that experience transitions over right away. I mean, whatever you already know, and it's a combat sport at that. So he's got at the very least, he's got the ground game, done. If he learns some hands over time and he has natural progression and keeps at it, I mean, Jesus, sky's the limit for people like that. I mean, these guys are some of these guys, especially if you're a gold medalist, means you are the greatest person on the planet. There was nobody better than you at that particular skill. So you're already a bad man, and then you're gonna go and add striking to that. Yeah. So I feel you there. Trust me, I laud that kind of, it's I want to see what these people can do. I mean, there's so many of these guys. Like, what people don't understand sometimes, not to segue too hard, but dude, these guys are some of the best athletes on the planet. Like, even on
Hmm.
this same card, you've got Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is one of the best jujitsu practitioners in the world. You're gonna talk, and then you put him up in a ring. He's already got the ground game, a martial art that's emphasis is on incapacitating the opponent.
Right.
So, and then you're gonna go and put him in a ring with somebody else. I mean, he's already got 10, 15 years of experience of combat in him. All you're doing is giving him more tools.
Right.
So sorry, it's a big segue, but no, man. I mean, that stuff needs to be seen, especially Daniel Cormier. Same thing. He's an Olympic athlete, and look where he's at. Since he's been in the UFC, he's been just in MMA. Period. He's been at the top of the mountain.
Right. And a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people hate on him. Excuse me. A lot of people hate on him just because of, like, um, you know, to the average or the casual fan, he uses his wrestling and his striking isn't as crisp as some, like, for example, like he's not as flashy as a John Jones, or his physique. I mean, he's got a dad bod. I mean, if you look at him, you can tell he's had one too many cheeseburgers. you know,
Yeah.
he doesn't shy away from the cheesecake.
No.
It's one of those things where and then other guys like I mean, not that I'm saying he's an Olympic caliber fighter, but Big Country, Roy Nelson. I mean, he's one of those guys where you look at him, you go, this guy is not a fighter. But then you put him in a cage and you lock that cage, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, this dude's insane.
Yeah, these dudes.
How's he hanging in there? With these guys that look like action figures.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, and it's again a perfect example. A great example is actually Big Country. Because say about him what you will, his jujitsu is better than a ton of the any MMA heavyweights. Period. And the guy
right.
literally just refuses to lose weight. I mean, mind you, if that guy went down to 205 and literally just lost the belly, dude, he'd be a serious threat at light heavyweight.
Yep.
Because the man can take a punch. He knows how to strike pretty well, and his jujitsu is actually more solid than what people would like to admit. So stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying. You take that kind of experienced guy and you put him. I mean, dude, it would be anybody's worst night at a bar if you decided to pick a fight with these guys, not knowing who they were. These guys that's just upper echelons in the world, man. So, but that's my other segue number 2 for the evening. But so yeah, I mean, just to top off this whole thing with Bulla versus Wieserick, who you got?
I think Bullar's grappling is just head and tails above Wieserick. I think Wieserick, of course, I mean, these guys are heavyweights. So you put two heavyweights in a cage, anything could happen. I mean, they could just put leather on each other, and it could be a bad night for one of them. I mean, you can't just necessarily discount the fact that these guys are, power punchers. I mean, they have power. All of them have power. So for them to be, I mean, for them to be, discounting each other as who could beat who, I think Bular does have the advantage when it comes to the grappling, and I think Wieserick has a chance when it comes to striking. And if you look at their salaries, I mean, it reflects their Vegas odds. Bular is a minus 365 favorite. Wieserick is a 305 underdog, and Wieserick's salary is 7,000 on DraftKings, and Bular's is 9,200. If you're going to take a flyer on a GPP, I mean, I wouldn't hate you for taking Wieserick, but I mean, I'd have to watch more fight video to see if he really has any type of, like, if he's fought any strong grapplers in his amateur days or even in his other fights, to see if he can really defend the takedown. If he hasn't been able to if he can't defend the takedown, it's going to be a long night. And And actually, it won't be a long night because if he gets him down and Bular gets into side control, it's a possibility he's just going to get pummeled from side control, and it'll be really fast.
Gotcha. Oh, awesome. All right, so we're gonna move right along into another fight we're gonna cover tonight, and that's going to be Diego Lima versus Yushin Okami. Now, me, I have to go and put my bias aside for this one, just because I'm a big Yushin Okami fan from back in the day. I watched a ton of his fights. I enjoy watching him. He's basically one of the biggest fighters ever to come out, especially out of Japan, and he made a name for himself for a while. He had I think in the welterweight division still, he he actually had a good run for a little while. So I mean, lately not so much. He's looks like he's kind of on his way out. And Diego Lima, I think we saw him fight not too long ago. Your Vegas odds are, I think they're basically over under at 110 each, right?
Correct.
Yeah, minus 110 or minus 110 plus 110. So this one's still like a right down a pick 'em pretty much for either way. Their salaries also reflect that. 8,200 for Yushin Okami, 8,000 for Diego Lima. Plain and simple. I mean, really, I think they gave the extra 200 edge, I guess, to Yushin Okami just based on him being a veteran. Take it away, man. What do you see in this one that I don't? Like I said, I'm a kind of a Yushin Okami fan. Diego Lima's all right. But I'm still on the fence either way, just because Yushin has not been showing a lot of his, I guess, a lot of the stuff he was doing in his prime lately. I think
Right.
hasn't been winning as winning lately. So,
If I'm correct, this fight is at 170.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just now the reason I bring that up is because the last time Yushin Okami fought was at 205, or was it 205?
185. I think it was 185. Middleweight.
185 against Ovince St. Preux. Was that whose last fight
Oh
was?
wow, was it really that high? See, now I gotta look that up.
Let me see here. I just want to be correct when I don't want to
Yeah.
be misquoting. Yeah, Ovince St. Preux. I should have been at 205, I believe. And if that's correct, he hasn't fought at 205. Yeah, it was 205. Yeah, he fought Ovince St. Preux at 205.
Dang, that's a big
Now,
jump.
if you think about it, he hasn't fought at 205 for like probably a decade.
Wow.
So, I mean, I can't necessarily fault him for that loss against definitely a larger man in Ovince St. Preux. Now, usually when Yushin is in the cage, he's usually fighting somebody who's smaller than him. Diego Lima, I believe, is right around his size. And I think the odds are probably going to be, I think Yushin might end up. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That was two of them. Sorry about that. I should have muted it, but
No
sorry.
worries.
Yushin Okami usually he fights somebody who's bigger than him, or I mean smaller than him. And I think, let me look at the statistics here.
Yeah,
I think they're roughly right around the same height. Yeah, they're both 74 inches tall, 170 pounds, 74-inch reach. So they're pretty even when it comes to that. If you look at a lot of Yushin Okami's fights, normally he's fighting somebody who's normally smaller than him. Like,
yeah, he's a big dude. I think he's 6'2". I mean,
yeah, so he'll have the reach advantage usually in a fight. Now he's fighting somebody his size, so is it gonna be a walkthrough, like his normal fights are? And I think this is possibly one of those fights where I hate to say this because I mean I'm a Yushin Okami fan as well, but I think it's one of those win or lose, win and you stay, and lose you go home.
Yep.
Type of things, because I think this is Diego Lima's second time around in the UFC. He actually, I think they're giving him a little bit benefit of the doubt because he came back on the UFC Tough Ultimate Fighter show and he lost against Jesse Taylor. And then Jesse Taylor subsequently failed for steroids again and got kicked out of the UFC, and he's fighting out, I think here some here on the West Coast on local shows. So I think they're
Damn.
throwing him a bone. I think they're throwing Diego Lima a bone, and they're sort of going, okay, we're gonna give you the mulligan, and you're gonna fight Yushin Okami, and whichever one of you guys lose, it's possible you guys are gonna have to kick bricks. Um,
Yeah.
so they're both minus 110 favorites because it's a coin toss. Their salaries are fairly similar when it comes to DraftKings. Okami's salary is 8,200. Lima's salary is 8,000. I would probably lean a little more towards Okami because Lima's got he's been tattooed a lot of times, but then at the same time, so is Okami. So I do give the little bit of a power edge to Okami as opposed to Lima. Lima might, I don't know. I think to me, Lima's a little bit more of a weaseler. He'll try to weasel out a decision as opposed to actually, working for it. So that's my take on it.
Sorry there, I was muted there for a minute. I don't know what happened there. I agree with you. I give the edge actually not as a fan, but just objectively. Yushin Okami, I believe, has more tools. The reason I'm saying that he's also not doing that great because he was out of the UFC for a while and he was in World Series of Fighting and he fought guys like John Fitch and stuff and he couldn't catch a break in World Series of Fighting when he was fighting about equal level caliber dudes. And then he went around the world, picked up 4 wins. So he's 4 out of his last 5, but then his last one he fought at 205 against Ovince St.
Yeah.
Preux. That's not his wheelhouse, so to speak. It's not his
No.
it's not his division.
But I
And
mean,
he's just like
I
you
give him
said.
credit because he stepped up on short notice to take a fight to save a card. I mean, so he gets a mulligan, but I mean, that's a rough one, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're going up to 205. You haven't fought at 205 in like 8 years, and that was in your prime. Like,
Yeah.
dang.
No, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it was great that he did that, but he kind of hurt himself doing it. Because if you don't pick up a win on those, they don't really have much mercy for you, except for maybe like, yeah, I know, it's a long shot that you win, but it still counts as a loss for you. Stepping in at short notice to me is such a double-edged sword for these guys. Yeah, they
Right.
stand to win a little bit of money, or yeah, the only way that they really, really succeed in that is if they win that, and it's so rare. Very few people do it. Then the ones that do, yes, they get a lot of it. The ones most of the time you come in on no notice at all, a week's worth of training that was light, so you make sure you make it to the event, and then you hope to
Mhm.
God that something happens after not training for a week or two. And yeah, staying ready is easy if you've got money, but these people have to go through fight camps and deal with their own lives while they're doing that. It's not as simple as people would think. So
Right.
props to him, but I think that hurts you. I mean, the only person that was able to really pull that off to the greatest effect was probably Michael Bisping. The one opportunity he was given, he he
Yeah.
he he knocked it out of the park, and that's a rare thing. He had 2 weeks notice, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But long story short, yeah, I give the edge to Okami. Lima, yeah, I mean, yes, he lost to Jesse Taylor, but again, same thing. He was just out of the UFC for a while. He really wasn't doing anything major, so I don't really count them ones outside of the UFC because it's really easy to pick up wins in really, really small promotions all over the place and then to go and then build yourself up to give them to get yourself an opportunity. But yeah, so I think this one's got Okami. Going right on to the next one, the few fights we're gonna cover tonight. We got Tim Bosch versus Antonio Carlos Jr. Antonio Carlos Jr. sounds like a guy out of like a telenovela,
Yeah.
Antonio
And
Carlos
Antonio
Jr.
Carlos Jr.
So
You took my wife.
So yeah, I mean, we got. I guess he got the swag. He's got the swag going for him too because he's the minus 270 favorite. His salary's 9,000, and then Tim Bosch, who's a veteran, minus plus 230 underdog. 7,200 is his price point. Tim Bosch especially has played the role of spoiler many a time, especially when he was the underdog. When people weren't expecting him to win, he's done some great stuff. I can't say anything too bad about him, except for maybe he's inconsistent. You know what I mean? I wish he would keep that going. And when he dropped to middleweight, especially, he really went on a tear. Antonio Carlos Jr. is a little bit newer to me, so I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. These guys. I mean, both these guys are I think Tim Bosch, he fought at heavyweight too, right?
I think so.
Or
Yes.
was it light heavy?
I think light
I mean,
heavyweight for
he was
sure.
one of those guys where he just like, I'm gonna go drop him weight.
Yeah.
And then he was like a monster, right? I think he
Yes.
was I think it was at least 205, but I mean, I'd have to look into it. He
Yeah.
does have insane power. Antonio Carlos Jr. is one of those guys where he's a submission expert. He's insane on the ground. Very good takedowns. Bosch has, I'd say, average takedown defense. He can take guys down too. He has solid ground and pound. Usually, what he likes doing is pushing guys up against the cage and getting that grindy cage style. He does have power in his hands. He does knock people out.
Yeah.
But this is one of those fights where it's basically whose style is going to win. Like, is Bosch going to catch Antonio coming in and put him to sleep, or is Antonio going to be able to land the takedown and just grind him and then take his back and put him to sleep? Choke him out. I'm fairly interested in this fight from a DFS standpoint because if you get this fight right, it's probably going to differentiate your lineup. Because if you go with the underdog, Bosch, he's a plus 230 underdog. His salary is 7,200, so he's in that same category like Wizerac and Patrick Williams. If these guys are able to pull it off, you're going to be able to fit a lot of these other guys in. Now, if Antonio Carlos Jr.'s strategy comes in, he comes in correctly with the right to close distance, work into the clinch, and then scramble for a takedown and get that early submission, which is possible, then he'll pay off his salary at 9,000. I'm leaning more Antonio Carlos Jr. than I am Bosch, but from a GPP DFS standpoint, Bosch is definitely viable.
Yeah, I mean he really does make a lot of room for you on your lineup just because I mean honestly, I'm actually thinking about rostering him. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but just because I've seen that, I mean he's coming off a win against Johnny Hendricks, so he's got to be feeling himself a little bit. You know what I mean? And I guess, like he's very well rounded. I know he's kind of a gatekeeper, and like I said, he's inconsistent. But I don't know. And this is just me going off my gut. I'd say, guys, always go with Wig. Always go with Wig. Wig will never lead you wrong, especially on the Saturday show. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm giving my opinion. Me personally, trust me, when I haven't gone with Wig, I just kind of kick myself and be like, well, I'm just gonna, you ever see that meme of Homer Simpson like just going into the bushes like slowly? That's me.
That's
Anytime
funny.
I decide to just be like, no, but it's a close one and it's a pick 'em. You know what? I'm not doing it. But so I'm gonna have like a contrarian lineup entirely just for cards like this because I like Bosch again, but I'm going off of like bias and what I've seen on these. I've seen Antonio Carlos Jr. and yeah, he's a fresher face. I mean, he's
But he has way cool tattoos, though.
So yeah, that's my disclaimer. DFS, play DFS at your own risk, but listen to Wig. Anyways, so yeah, I think I'm gonna play a little bit of a contrarian to you on that one, only because out of picks. But yeah, no, Antonio Carlos Jr. seems like you could pull it out, especially GPP. Would you play Tim Bosch cash?
No,
No.
he's only GPP viable then.
Okay.
Unless I found out, like, somehow through one of my contacts that Antonio Carlos Jr. has an injury. That's the only way that's the only way I would be able to do it. Got some new swag up in this joint, by the way. StatMuse. Shout out to StatMuse.
Nice. Nice. All right. So wrapping up our show tonight is going to be the last fight we're going to cover tonight, and that's going to be this is a bad card for me, man. Like I said, because dude, if there was ever a fighter that I was a super fan of, it was, and one of them is going to be
Natural born killer.
Carlos Condit, man. Carlos Condit versus Alex Oliveira. Dude, Condit, man, even my brother-in-law. Shout out to you, Vlad, if you're listening. Dude, Carlos Condit is to me the man. Like I said, that guy's one of those uncrowned kings to me. But getting back into the DFS standpoint, Carlos Condit is your plus 190 underdog, which is wild to me. 7,500. I'm going to be again on that contrarian lineup rostering him. But Carlos Condit, man, even if he's on the way out, I'm a big fan. But Alex Oliveira is your minus 230 favorite, and his salary is 8,700. Alex Oliveira, man, he puts on an awesome fight. This could be a fight of the night, man. This is one of those fights that I feel like, dude, there could be some fireworks here. Somebody's gonna get dropped. I think Carlos Condit is due after losing, getting edged out in decisions and all this other stuff, and taking time off, and then of course having that Matt Brown fight canceled. That was a disappointment. But
He would have got slept in that fight too.
What?
I said he would have got slept in that fight, bro.
You think so? Damn.
Yeah, Matt the Immortal Brown, bro. That dude is
No, Matt Brown is badass, dude. Playing like, dude, I that is a scary, scary dude. And if any guy with the nickname the Immortal, I mean, Jesus, that sounds terrifying.
Two words. Jackson Wink. Oh, son of a! I just said it. I said it. I did it. Oh man, I gotta go in timeout.
No, it's true. You know what? I didn't.
The curse continues.
Yes. No, dude. My blinders were on, and I didn't even see that. Ah.
Man, I don't know. Now, I mean, I feel bad for those guys over there because I mean, it was once a great camp, and I don't know if it's mental or if it's just the whole John Jones thing that threw everybody off over there, but. And then with Condit, I mean, I think he's more into running his gyms and his coffee shops and his, whatever else whatever, venture he's doing. I mean, more power to him. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not sure which Carlos Condit is coming into this fight. Is it the Carlos Condit that we remember where he would just come in with laser focus and a game plan, just come in and annihilate whoever it is? Or is it going to be the Carlos Condit that came in his last fight and just, I think he threw, what was it, like 17 strikes the whole fight? Let me look it up real quick. I mean, it was something ridiculous. I was like, how do you go through the whole fight and only throw?
No, yeah, and it's just weird because, I mean, dude, this guy was, remember,
37 strikes in 3 rounds. That's little over 13 per round. And he was taken down 6 times by Neil Magny.
Dude.
Neil Magny.
You know what's funny, man? He's never been the same since he got his knee blown out by Tyron Woodley. Straight up. Yeah. That's the thing, because before that he was still the natural born killer. I don't know what happened, man. And look, I mean, like I said, I'm a super fan. But at the same time, facts are facts. He's lost 3 straight. He's lost 4 out of his last 5. And it sucks, man. Like I said, it sucks to be a fan and then just watch that decline. But
I agree with you, man. It's rough because, like, I'm right there with you. I remember those WEC days.
Yeah.
Where he would just, dude, he'd come in with those Muay Thai shorts and just do that straight sag it, from Street Fighter, like, here we go, pop, pop,
Yeah.
It was awesome to watch. Now it's like you look at him and he's a shell of himself, and it's like, oh, bro.
No, man, and that's the thing. I mean, I hope he's that guy that wants to still go out there and pull the trigger. But I mean, who can say? I mean, I think maybe he's just finishing out his contract, maybe retiring sometime soon. But still one of my favorites all time for sure. Yeah. It's a shame because I think in some of those, like I said, he's the guy that of all the people that GSP fought, GSP said the one guy I never want to fight again is Carlos Condit. Yeah. What does that tell you? I mean,
that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's game changer stuff. Like, I mean, you're talking about a multiple time champion to say, nah, I'm cool on that one.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah. We don't need to run that back.
Yeah, no. We'll just leave it the way it was.
And then on the flip side, you've got Alex Oliveira. Well, this guy is as game opponent as there's ever gonna be because this guy's, I mean, he's fun to watch, dude. He is fun to watch. This guy has been, dude. He's got 4. He's 4-1-1 no contest out of his last 6 fights.
Right.
I mean, dude's fun to watch. I mean, he's not gonna win. He doesn't win them all, but man, he wins a lot, and it's because he comes out there to fight, man.
Right. If there's one thing you can guarantee about Alex Oliveira fight, when that cage locks and they, it's ready to go, like he is gonna be. It's lights are on, man. Like he's coming at you. He's not gonna hesitate. He's gonna just really give you everything he has, and he's gonna hope that for you too. Because if not, he's just gonna bully you over, dude.
Absolutely. And he's kind of like I mean, his nickname is Cowboy as well, but he's
Hmm.
kind of like Donald Cerrone, the older Donald
Yeah,
Cerrone, where he just come in there and just let's fight, let's go.
yeah.
Then I
Let's
just
do it.
any
Let's do
who's
it.
next? Put him in front of me.
Yep.
I love that mentality. I love it. It's very simple, straight to the
Yeah.
point, and it's just a killer's mentality. So the thing is, in order to survive this guy, we need to see the old Condit, plain and
Yeah.
simple.
Plus, why overthink it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why overthink it? If you're in there to fight, let's do it.
Let him, yeah, let those hands go. Let those kicks go, man. That's real. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not in the cage, but I'll tell you straight up, man. That's what I want to see at least. And if even
Yeah.
if he's gonna retire or it's the end of his contract or
Yeah.
whatever, man, go out on that shield, go out on the win, and that's
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? That's
That
what I'm
would
hoping for.
that'd be crazy. I mean, like you said, Condit's Vegas odds are as of the time of this recording, he's a plus 190 underdog. His salary on DraftKings is 7,500, which is workable.
Mm.
Oliveira is minus 230 favorite, and his salary is 870, 8,700 on DraftKings.
Mm.
It's up there, but he does have stoppage ability. If fight video and just the way I feel plays out, um, if I feel like this is going to go to a stop, like if he can get a stoppage, maybe an early first or second round, Alex Oliveira definitely could pay off his salary at 8,700. Same thing with Condit. If Condit could somehow slap on an early submission when Oliveira dives in, to be uber aggressive, it's possible he can, he'll exceed his value. It all depends on if he gets any significant strikes or if there's any ground and pound involved. He definitely could score over 100 with a first round submission. And if Oliveira gets into the second round with Condit, and Condit looks like he's going to tire, and he ends up stopping him, then he'll probably score in the 90-ish to 100 point range, depending on what kind of strikes or how it's finished. But yeah, I'm leaning. Of course, definitely, I'm leaning with Vegas, and I think Oliveira is probably going to pull off a victory here. I'm not sure how it's going to end up, whether it be a decision or a possible second round stoppage, but that's what it looks like, man. Unfortunately, I don't see Condit unless he comes in super focused. I'm going to have to watch how Fight Week looks and see
Yeah.
what kind of interviews he gives and all that other fun stuff. But before we get out of here, shameless plug. Wise Take, if you're not part of the Wise Take Nation, we're going to be carrying swag. These are our new shirts, the new designs that we came out with. Look for them on the website coming up soon. Hopefully, if we garner enough interest, we'll definitely be getting those orders out. We're going to be getting hats and all that other fun stuff. But also, the event passes for MMA on wisestake.com. It allows you to have 24-hour access to the chat room. It grants you access to me with any questions you may have MMA related. There's going to be tools that are going to be added to the website. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up down the pipeline just for MMA, not including for all the other sports. But it's only $4.99. That's basically a Rockstar and a double cheeseburger from McDonald's. So if you can go without one of those two for a day, you definitely can pick up yourself an MMA package for $4.99 and make yourself some extra money. So instead of getting that Rockstar and the double cheeseburger, you can actually get the full value meal. Go for the supersized fries and the the extra large Coke, and you'll be able to get that double quarter pounder meal in the $8 range. I think maybe even take a girl out to Red Lobster or something like that. All you can eat, but fettuccine Alfredo style. But you
Jesus.
can always hit me up on Twitter at JEFPO. I'm more than happy to answer any of your guys' questions. Leave your questions in the comments below. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. We are on all platforms. We're not on Tinder yet, but we're working towards that.
You're out of control this week, sir. You're drunk with power. I'll tell you right now.
Facebook. I mean, leave us the likes, share us, whatever you can do. The White Steak Nation appreciates it, and we look forward to hearing from you guys. What do you got, Steve?
No, you already. I mean, I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to laugh. I have to mute myself just because you're cracking me up over here, going over food choices, fast food. Anyway, so listen, guys. Pretty much everything that Wig said. I'm not gonna repeat it again, but just join us this weekend on the MMA Wise stream, man. We're gonna give our full takes, final takes on these fights before they happen this weekend. Poirier versus Gaethje, UFC on Fox 29. I'm looking forward to it. Like you see, I'm a big mark for all these. For a lot of these fights and some of these fighters I've been watching for a long time, so this is going to be fun to watch. Come join us, join the nation. Give us those likes, tell us what you like and what you don't like. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and we will see. For my man Wigsplitter, I am El Stevo. Hit me up on Twitter as well, and we will see you next time. Have fun, be safe, and we'll see you this weekend. Bye.
Peace. Oh man, I don't even know what I'm thinking. Tinder.
Wow.
Your